I was going to do this video tomorrow, but I've freed up some time this afternoon, so I think I'll put it out there. It might save some of you that are looking at Colombia some time. One of the major things I think when you're looking at a retirement destination in a foreign country would be the climate. My name is William Hutchison. My wife and I own Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats. And as the name suggests, our focus is expats, the protection of their capital, the professional manner in which we deal with clientele, and our operating procedure that is governed by the American Realtor Code of Ethics, completely voluntary on our part, but it's a document that we feel we should follow in our business transactions. I have notes here that I'm going to have to refer to. What I've done is I've looked at 7 possibilities. Hopefully it'll save you some time. And the 7 possibilities are the major areas, the major cities that expats would likely be looking at for retirement in Colombia. I'm going to deal with them in alphabetical order. One qualification: most of these observations that are posted in the weather page that I looked at, it was timeanddate.com. I'll put the link down at the bottom, are observations at an airport. And when I get to Armenia, I will talk to you about why that could be important. I'm going to start with Armenia, but before I do, you have to recognize that all of these places are very close to the equator, so there's virtually no variance. One of the cities, I think it was Cartagena, the nighttime temperature doesn't change for 12 months. Now these are historical averages too, but they're, I believe, very accurate, and averaged over time they're probably more representative than if you just took 1 year or a couple of years and used those numbers. I've said a couple of times that Armenia, for me, the climate's perfect. It's within a degree or two, 60 every evening, night, and 80 every day. Now, understanding that, with the observations at the airport, and I live in the north part of the city, that's perhaps 150 or maybe 160 meters higher than the airport, it's a little cooler here, but it only varies by 4 or 5 degrees. So even though these observations are 27 to 29 at the airport, I would say that most days here it's 27. If you're looking at a map of Colombia, and I'll use the Armenia airport as an example, it's probably 20 kilometers from me, perhaps 25. It's about a 30 or 35 minute drive. And if you look at a map of Colombia, Latabaida, Quimbaya, and Montenegro would be 3 areas that are close to the airport. So you can probably use the higher temperature here in the range because that's what the airport temperature is. The other thing that you have to look at is the evening temperatures overnight. And for Armenia, they're 17 to 19 degrees, which I suppose is, I don't have the number down in Fahrenheit, but probably about mid-60s. I can tell you it's comfortable every day, and it's great for sleeping at night because there's no humidity. Lots of rain, 118 inches a year, which is the rainiest of these cities that I've looked at for you. It's nice to have, there's no question about that. And most of it is at night. I would say 75 to 80% of it in Armenia is at night. I know Armenia. I don't know these other cities. I've been to them, but I haven't lived in them, so I'm just going to give you the numbers as they come off, and you can use them. I said in my retirement video, my third video, that the first step is to decide in what sort of an environment you want to live. And hopefully these numbers of these 7 of probably the most popular areas to look at in Armenia or in Colombia are representative. We're going to look at Bogota, again at the airport, maximum 18 to 20. So that's mid 60s to 70 during the day, 7 to 10 at night. Only 345 millimeters of rain a year, which is 14 inches. Not very much rain. Armenia has 8 times the amount of rain that Bogota does. Bogota is 7,700,000 people in the city itself, and 12 million in the metropolitan area. So it's large and busy. But if you like a cooler climate, it's maybe one of the places that you would want to look at. The one thing I like about Bogota is the restaurants and the live entertainment, concerts. A lot of the big names come to Bogota, and Medellin, Cali, Cartagena. In Armenia, it's a cultural wasteland. There's no question about that. The next one we want to look at is Cali. Cali is very hot and humid. It's almost like a city on the sea. The maximum during the days, 29 to 30 degrees, drops to 19 to 20 at night, which is pretty warm. I've spent some time in Cali. It's a city of 2,400,000 people. Only 168 millimeters of rain a year, which is only 7 inches. But it's hot and humid. You run the air conditioner pretty much, at least at night when you're sleeping, and probably sometimes during the day as well. Cartagena is 952,000 people, and the climate here, because it's on the Caribbean Sea, is going to be fairly representative of the other places that are on the Caribbean Sea as well. And that would include Santa Marta, Barranquilla, Rodadero, Taganga, other places. It might vary by a degree or two, but the coastal climate in Cartagena is going to be pretty, it's going to be representative of the climate in the other cities along there too. The max here is 30-32 hot. Night 24-26, which is almost what it is here in the daytime in Armenia. There's 243 millimeters of rain a year, only 10 inches, but it's hot and humid. If that's your preference, then it's probably a good place to live. It's expensive, I know, but it does offer some cultural things. I think it would be a nice place to live if that's the climate that you want. Manizales, one of the other corners of the Coffee Triangle along with Armenia. It's 358,000 people, just a little bigger than Armenia at 315. The maximum here is 26 to 28, pretty much the same as Armenia. Minimum 18, the same. And rain 96 inches, which is 2,427 millimeters. It's basically the same rainfall as Paria that we're going to come to. The Coffee Triangle has a lot of rain, and I don't know about Manizales, whether it's at night or not, but it's not too far short of Armenia. Manizales has 96 inches, as does Paria, and Armenia leads the pack at 118. Medellin, very popular. A lot of people love Medellin. It's a city of about 2 million. They call it, the climate there, they call it the city of eternal spring. Maximum's 21 to 22, nice and comfortable. Minimums 12 to 14, great to sleep at night. 31 inches of rain a year, 788 millimeters. Medellin's a nice city. You should check it out closely. Any of these you need to visit. You just can't. You can't sit in a foreign country and guess, especially with a move like this. It's a big move, and it means cutting ties with family and friends, maybe the friends you've had for a long time. So you have to visit these places before you make a decision. The last one I have is Pattaya. It's a lot like Armenia. The maximum in Armenia is 27, 29 degrees. In Pattaya, it's 26, 28. The minimum in Armenia is 17, 18, and the minimum in Pattaya is 18 for every month of the year. Another good place, moderate climate, warm enough in the daytime, cool at night, and a city of a little bigger than Armenia. It's 440,000. I hope that gives you some information and saves you some time. Climate, in my mind at least, is very important, as well as the population of these cities. You might find a city with a good climate, but it's just too big for you. One other note, if you're looking at living in the boonies, or what I call the boonies, you can probably zero in on the climate by looking at the closest international airport. In some cases, the closest international airport is hours away, so it's not going to help you. But by looking at maybe Googling a little town of maybe 50,000 or 25,000, something might turn up as far as climate is concerned to help you with that. I understand that there are people that would like to have the rural lifestyle, and that's fine. That's no different than people that want the hot and humid on the sea. To be honest, I miss the sea, but I'm not going to give up the climate here to go somewhere where it's 95 every day and 75 every night. I'm just not geared to that sort of environment anymore. That's it for the video. It's getting on to the evening here and starting to cool down. Typical day in Armenia. And I think that as well as these others, you have to give Armenia, I'm biased, you have to give Armenia a good look. I don't think anyone coming here would ever be disappointed. Come for a week, maybe 10 days. Maybe you come to Colombia for 3 weeks and you go off and look at some of these other places that you might have narrowed down. Maybe you've got the 7 down to 3 and you visit them and you do everything all in one go, maybe 3 or 4 days in each. And then if you're here for say 3 weeks, you could spend the balance of the time, 7, 8, 9 days in the one that you have decided you prefer more than the other two. I'm William Hutchison, Armenia Colombia Realty for Expats. I'll leave my contacts down below, and you can contact me anytime. I will happily get back to you. I will call you. There's no problem with that. I have a fantastic plan. I live in paradise, and you can too.